Well, good morning. Well, we're excited to be back home this week for homecoming, have a Saturday night game here. I think that there's always a great atmosphere, a lot of electricity in the air when you play on Saturday night here at home in Atlanta, and got a very formidable opponent coming in. I've been really impressed watching Pitt on tape. I think that they've got some outstanding individual players, and they've played very well as a team. We've got some things to clean up from the Virginia game. I was proud of our guys that we overcame some adversity and a lot of self-inflicted wounds, so to speak, with some penalties and some turnovers and some of that thing. But we found a way to make enough plays to win the game. So that's what it's about. So looking forward to getting better this week. Having a chance for our team to get bowl eligible if we can find a way to win on Saturday night.
Coach, Pitt has a freshman receiver who also returns kicks. It's going to be a guy you're really going to have to keep an eye on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, both their receivers are really good. The street kid is a really good player, too. I think he's the all-time leading receiver in Pitt history on the other side. So besides Boyd, the street kid, they've got two very talented wide receivers. They've got an experienced quarterback, and if you can't move him off his spot, he's very accurate. And then a power running game to go with that.
All good film for you to watch. Obviously, you played Navy last week, and how much does that aid you in getting ready to go, giving them a familiar look to your players when they see it on film?
Well, I think it's good for us to look at having not played them. If I had my rathers, I'd rather them not have played Navy. I think that it probably benefits them a little more to get the speed of the I'm sure that the speed of the thing, and that had to be a disappointing loss for them. If you watch the tape, I mean, they pretty much controlled the game for most of the game. And, to Navy's credit, they found a way to score 10 points in the last 6 minutes. And they got one touchdown kind of off a freak play where it bounced off a wide receiver into another guy's hands, and he ran it in. But it was a hard-fought physical game, and it'll give them a chance to look and see what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, what they want to add, what they want to throw out. So, but it's also good for our guys to have a chance to see it too.
And Atachu were extremely disruptive last week. Is that something with two tackles that I think are still trying to learn their way a little bit at Pitt, first year playing? How do you see that playing out?
Well, we hope that they can provide some pressure and play well. And I mean, Atachu had like 7 quarterback pressures. Hurries, 2 sacks, and as you said, I think Diake probably played his best game since he's been here. So both those guys gave that freshman tackle from Virginia a hard time. He struggled with them. And so hopefully that they can continue to play, and continue to play hard and create some havoc for us, because certainly we're going to have to try to get some pressure on Savage because he's very accurate if he has time.
I'm curious, the against Virginia, Kid Watford threw it a lot, but he didn't get a lot of yards per attempt. And I'm curious if you see that as a kind of a trade-off you're willing to make, or how do you just evaluate how that?
Well, the bottom line is the points. That's what you're all about, is how many points do you get. And considering that we turned it over 5 times and had all those penalties to give them extra plays and first downs and all that, you have to be pleased with we gave up no more points than we did. There's things that we need to do better, clearly. But, if you're not giving up big plays, you usually got a chance. I mean, it's hard for people to beat you throwing for 3 or 4 yards in the flats. They got to complete a lot of them. The ones down the field, the explosion plays are the ones that will kill you, especially in the passing game.
Coach, on the defensive side of the ball for Pitt, they have 2 pretty good defensive ends that play with a lot of motor, Donald and Murphy. What do you see from them?
Yeah, well, Donald's a 3 technique. He plays inside the defensive tackle, and he's probably an All-American player. He may be as good as anybody we've played against all year. Certainly, he's a really good player. The other guy that's been impressive to me is their Mike linebacker, 44. I think he's a really good player. His name slips my mind right now because I'm into numbers when you watch so much of it. But both those 2 guys are very talented guys.
they get a look at Navy before they play you. Is there anyone you've played that gives you any mirror image or any parallels with their offense?
With their offense. Syracuse, maybe. I'd say they're probably closer to them than maybe anybody else, but they're different than most people we played. I think they mix, a power running game in with kind of a pro-style passing attack, really, is what I would categorize it as.
How about defense?
I just like everybody plays the same way against us. I mean, pretty much the same base deal. We've played 8 games, and there's 2 teams that have lined up differently. Syracuse and BYU, everybody else has played basically out of the same shell, the same package. They do different things, but it's pretty much the same.
Coach Zach Lasky, 5 scores the last 2 weeks. Is this a case of he's just stepping up this year, or just a case that we notice it more because he's getting in the end zone more?
Well, I think the B-backs both have been productive the last couple of games. And, I think David had 2 scores this week as well as Zach. And Zach's playing well. He's running the ball well. I shouldn't say he's playing great. He's running the ball well. I just talked to him upstairs. I just saw him, and his vision's good. He's breaking tackles. He's doing that. We just got to work on the other things and be a complete player, because he's got the ability to do that. He can be good. But right now he's running better than he has all year.
I think you did mention yesterday that you hadn't run the triple option as much, and I'm curious, is that
No, I said we didn't run it as much in the second half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean, how do you feel like that's been run so far this season?
It's been hot and cold. I thought we were getting better at it, and then we probably, we did okay the first series. I mean, we ran 2 of the 3 plays and we handled it okay. And we only ran it the one time in the second half. We got the ball pitched for about an 8 or 10 yard gain, but it just, I just didn't. There were other things we could do, and it didn't look as smooth to me. And I was not going to. I didn't want to put the ball on the ground again. So it was like. We just kind of got away from it. Not so much anything they did. It was just kind of what we were doing. And we didn't really have to do it,
I imagine that probably the most pleasant surprise this year has been DeAndre and what he's been able to give you as a guy who hadn't played football in 4 years, to come in and contribute the way he has and make plays and play like a poised veteran in a lot of ways.
Well, he's made some big plays. I mean, I think the third down play Saturday was a nice catch by him, and he's a good athlete and a good player. And I think he's getting better now. He's getting assignment better, and he struggled with that early. I mean, there was plays, and it's just getting back in the groove. But he's a talented guy, and I think he's going to do nothing but get better the more he plays. He's got a lot of tools, and I think the longer he's out there and the more he plays, the better he's going to get.
Late in the game still very much in doubt. You had the ball, needed a first down. On a second down play, Vad hit Robbie Godhigh for a big first down, huge play in the game. And after the game, you mentioned, I trusted my quarterback, and he made a play. Is it moments like that can be incremental building blocks for a quarterback and getting where he needs to be?
Yeah, I think confidence. You gain confidence when you make plays. The third down throw to me was way more impressive than that one. Yeah, and but Vad's a confident guy. I mean, I don't think that, especially, he's had a lot of success in his career, so he's pretty confident. I think sometimes and this sounds contradictory, but he can be his own worst enemy sometimes in the run game because he second guesses himself and he thinks too much. That's not as natural as maybe just dropping back and winging it. Good quarterbacks don't have much of a conscience when they go back to wing it. And he'd try to throw it through he doesn't have any problem with confidence that way. And I think it's just experience. The more you play, the better you do at that. But certainly that has to help him. And it helps his teammates be confident in him when that time comes, that he's going to deliver for them and make a play.
They mentioned Robert Godhigh. How do you describe his knack for making big plays? And when you see where he is now compared to what you knew of him when you first got here, how do you describe that journey?
Well, I think that Robbie's just he's a good, solid football player. I mean, he likes to play the game. He's not a burner, but he's fast enough. He's compact, so he's hard to tackle. He's got good hands. I mean, he catches the ball when it's near him most of the time. We thought he was a good player in high school. You just questioned his size and speed, and could he transition to the next level? And he had a couple of scholarship offers to some 1AA schools, but he felt like he could play on this level. So he wanted to prove to people he could play, and I think he came in with a chip on his shoulder, and that probably helped him. And by second year he was here, it became apparent that he could play and help us win games, and he earned himself a scholarship. And then last year he earned himself a starting spot at times, opposite Orwin. And last year he was more, Orwin was more a big play guy a year ago. He's the guy who, well, this year Robbie's the senior, and it's kind of fallen to him. He's the guy that's had the ball in that opportunity and made some big plays. I think Mike's getting better. He sometimes he's got to stay focused and dialed in, and it's but we're happy with Mike and excited about what he's done. I mean, for a redshirt freshman, he's come in and started and played, and I'll say this for him: he's not shy. He'll throw it up in there. He tries to block, and he's had an opportunity to make some plays at times, and for the most part, he's made them when he's had that opportunity. So I think he's like DeAndre. The more he plays it, he's going to continue to get better and better too.
Paul, you were talking a little bit about your seniors. Jamia Thomas, where he's come from, the corner, safety, plays nickel for you.
All right.
Made a couple of huge tackles for you on third down to get you off the field. Talk about what he does, what he means your defense.
Well, he's just a really good football player. Jamia would be a good player if he was playing A-back or he ran quarterback on a scout team out there in the past one time. He's a good athlete and a good player, and he just loves to play. And he gives the defense flexibility because he can move around, and he makes a lot of plays. And he's got good, probably his biggest tool is also his biggest disadvantage is his eyes sometimes, because he can feel things and he sees things and he makes a lot of plays, and then sometimes it gets him in trouble. But he's a good football player. You'd love to have a bunch of Jamia Thomases running around. I think football's important to him. He loves the game and he likes to compete. He's a heck of a competitor.
I know you said before that you don't go into a game thinking about, we'll throw this many passes or whatever, but obviously the last two games has been pretty low. And you said, I think on Saturday, that part of that was just the production wasn't there. Because you weren't
let me tell you what, I go into the game every week, and it's the same every week. I go into the game trying to win. And whatever it takes to win the game, that's what I'm going to do. So if we're running the ball for 400 yards, we're probably not going to throw it as much. If we're running for 200 yards, then we're probably going to have to throw it more. If you look, the 3 games that we've thrown the ball over 20 times, I think we've lost all 3 of them. So, for all the balance and all the – now, if we're more efficient in the game throwing, if you're completing a bunch of them and you're protecting, then you're going to keep calling them. It's like anything else. You're going to do what's working. Truthfully, the last 2 weeks, the secondary's really never been involved that much in stopping the run game for whatever reason, whether they just didn't want to get involved or and we were successful. We averaged about 6 or 7 yards a rush. So there wasn't any use to say, wow, we're going to throw it. Now, Saturday, when they packed everybody up there at the end to try to stop the run, we saw what happens when the secondary gets involved and the corner runs across the line. We were able to hit the A-back on play action and do some of that. The other thing I think that's happened is with the nature of what we do, when you're in 3rd and short, and to me 3rd and 4 or less is short, I got 2 plays to get it. I like my odds pretty good if I run the ball twice, where depends on where the ball is or whatever. It's a different game than the NFL game where you watch them in 3rd and 2's a passing down. I mean, for us, can we throw it on 3rd and 2? Yeah, and we'll break a tendency once in a while. But we're looking to hit a home run and then probably come back and go for it on 4th down if we do that. So it's you look out there and you try to see what they're doing and what you think gives your guys the best chance. You have to do what your guys can do.
I also imagine just the sheer number of guys hurt and the lack of experience and having younger guys, the pass blocking maybe takes a little
Well,
bit.
I'm going to tell you right now, Trey Braun, Chase Robert, all those guys are much better at run blocking than they are pass blocking. They just are. And it's like, so if we have to pass, are they good enough to get it off? We hope so, and we'll throw it if we have to, or if we feel like it gives us a chance. I mean, who knows? This week we might come out and throw it 40 times. You can't ever tell. But it's like the defense could force you to do that. I mean, if they said we're going to put 10 guys up here a yard from the ball and run everybody in the backfield, then we'd try to throw the ball, or if we got a matchup we like. But I'm not going to throw the ball just to throw it. I'm not going to, hey, okay, I want to throw it 20 times, so I'm going to keep calling them until I hit 20,
Well, you guys done a great job of cross-training your guys to be able to play on the offensive line, tackle, guard. Mike does a good job for you, I know, in that area.
Right.
I mean, talk about you cross-training guys so they can play all the way across the offensive line.
well, it's been, it seems like it's been a numbers problem for a while. And, we've had a couple guys. Morgan Bailey has just been unlucky as all get out. I mean, he hasn't hardly played at all. Then when we lost Ray Bino, we lost Freddie Burden and Aaron Joe before the season. I mean, we lost about 5 or 6 scholarship guys really before we ever got started. And we've been fortunate that Will has played a lot. He's played both positions. Shaq's a smart guy. If need be, he could do that. Really, Finch could do that if he had to. He's played a lot, and you wouldn't want to move him, but he could play guard or tackle. He did when he was, early in his career. So there's a little bit of flexibility in there, but you want to keep them healthy as you can. We've tried to get Nick Brigham. He's played both. Morgan Bailey's lined up at both when he's practiced. So you try to get it to where you've got 8 or 9 guys that are interchangeable, and then that way you can kind of get through. And like I said, we weren't opposed to playing Shamir and those guys, but as fate have it, he got hurt. He had to have some minor surgery, and that set him way back.